Hello there, everybody. How y'all doing today? Welcome you all to another podcast here on YouTube of TTBurger 8. I am your host Tony, and it's another episode of Burgers and Fries Game Talk here. And joining me is a bunch of people. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I am Monolith. Hello. I am the editor for Vera Dark, a popular streamer on YouTube. I can't even speak right now, but that's fine. I'm here to talk games. Let's do this.
MF217, who is a little bit irritable today due to a series of unfortunate events, but mostly sums up by an off day overall.
Well, then I'm Powerplay. I'm a gaming pony. And I won't be here long because, 9:30 curfew bullshit.
I'm Link. I'm a guy who just tends to join in whatever my friends are doing, and this is the 10th frickin' take of this particular podcast.
I'm Sadet, the hyperactive princess, and right now I'm having a giggle fit.
Well, don't worry. We all get the giggles sometime. I've had the giggles many times, but before in the past. But yeah, today is episode 3, and we're going to be talking about two video game consoles that we grew up with: the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64. Both great consoles. I've owned them both. I first owned the Nintendo 64 first. We got it in Christmas of 1996, and we got the PlayStation in March of 1998. Actually, March 13th, 1998. I remember that because we were off school for about a week because there was a big ice storm that knocked power and cable out, not allowed to a lot of places. So we had no school for a week, so when I went upstairs and saw that we had the PlayStation, and we were playing Tomb Raider 2, and of course, but that wasn't the first game I ever played with the PlayStation. The first game I played with the PlayStation was Croc, Legend of the Gobos, and I consider that the very thing that introduced me to the PlayStation, and I thought it was pretty cool to be on CD-ROMs like that, because I thought, oh, CD games like that. Hey, that's pretty cool for a console, because like I remember playing Croc, Legend of the Gobos on Thanksgiving, and just being so cool to be this like walking crocodile who can stomp on boxes and start and collect gems. An interesting thing about Croc Legend of the Go was that was supposed to be a spin-off now to Mario Brothers starring Yoshi, but Nintendo didn't like the idea, so it became Croc instead. And that is very true there, definitely. I do have to wonder how it would have been like if the game starred Yoshi. That would have been pretty cool there if that was the case. And but like, what can you do? I mean, I grew up with a lot of games for Nintendo 64, PlayStation. Like you got those key games on each console you play. Like so I first start with the Nintendo 64. I might as well start off by saying that obviously, of course, Super Mario 64 and Wave Race and Star Fox 64 and Turok Dinosaur Hunter, which was what introduced me to first-person shooters was Turok. And I remember seeing how pretty cool it was to be able to see what the character saw, because of course we had Doom and all stuff, but it's not we didn't have Doom for the PC at the time, because I was more of a console gamer than a PC gamer. And I mean, of course, I like dinosaurs, so that was pretty cool there, because I like dinosaurs, and because I was learning about dinosaurs in second grade when I got the game, so I thought, hey, that's badass there. But of course,
I am a Stegosaurus.
Mine was the Triceratops. My favorite dinosaur was the Triceratops and Styracosaurus. I just like them. Triceratops because it reminded me of a rhinoceros for some reason, and Styracosaurus just because we had to pick a dinosaur for Dinosaur Day in second grade. I just chose Styracosaurus for some reason. Why? I don't know why. Just did. I know that's a little off topic there, but still, we're talking about dinosaurs. But when you talk about the key games that you love for the system, and on the Nintendo 64, because I got that console first. My 3 top favorite games for the Nintendo 64 are Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini, and GoldenEye 977. And all 3 great games there, especially with the Perfect Dark. I remember it was one of those games where you needed the expansion pack to play all the content. Without the expansion pack, you'd only be able to play the Combat Simulator multiplayer mode, and that was it. And that was a problem there. And of course, I know there's also Conquest Bad Fur Day, but I unfortunately had the awful Xbox version, so I couldn't really get into that at all. But like I've been kind of go ahead.
The Xbox version looks prettier, but kind of loses its charm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was the
think it
Xbox?
was the question about that. Was the Xbox, and I don't remember because it's been a long time, was the Xbox version, was it censored?
Yes.
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 Okay. All right,
We
that's
played
my
the
thought.
game uncensored.
Right.
By
We got one
uncensored,
argument.
you mean you censored it even more. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, like I like yeah, like
That's
it's
what I
like
thought.
that's what I heard too, and that surprised me.
In Rare Replay, they uncensored it. Is that correct? Because I did not play it in Rare Replay.
I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, because it was one of the games in Rare Replay, so I wasn't sure if it was if they had uncensored it, but who knows? Maybe not have, maybe they didn't.
The great mighty Pooh.
Tough question there, 'cause I don't know.
Moving on.
Yeah, because like I just remember like playing those three games. I remember like Perfect Dark was like, of course like you knew it was made by people who made GoldenEye, but by the way the guns sounded, the way the music sounded, everything. It's like my brother kept saying over and over, this game is just like GoldenEye, except for it's a female protagonist there. Like listen to how it sounds and everything and how it plays. It's definitely like GoldenEye and like and. But things like it was great and stuff because like I remember getting to the very 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 end of the game and it took me 6 years to beat the game. I did not know how to beat the final boss, the Skitter, and I realized that you had to like shoot that little totem thing at the top to cut its head off, and then you beat the game. And the ending was a little disappointing, but still like it was nowhere near as bad as its prequel, Perfect Dark Zero. But we'll talk about that another day.
I don't know why I shuddered. I never even played that game.
Be glad you didn't play Perfect Dark Zero. Just be glad you haven't played it, Link. Just be glad you haven't.
Honestly,
I can elaborate today's on many things those games did in regards to... I don't really know how to word it, just... again, my mind's a bit loopy today, just... Apologies there, just... there was, however, something else I have a bit more fun memory, though, and that is Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, and there's a reason I have a bit of a more recent memory of this as opposed to even Banjo, which I play on my channel for,
Uh-oh.
is because Turok 2 is the first major gore fest of a game I was introduced to aside from Turok Evolution.
Yeah, because Turok 2 Seeds of Evil was definitely pushing the N64 to its limits. I mean, I remember like when I first played that game, and that game gave me nightmares because of how dark it was. And there were some pretty scary parts in that game, especially like in the first level with everything blowing up in the Port of Adia, or like all those people dying in the River of Souls, and the death marshes with the ammunition storage facilities and the prisoners, and of course like the Lair of the Blind Ones and how hard that level was and how confusing it was. It's like there were a lot of things that did scare me about that game, but like I got over that fear, obviously.
And then, of course, the arsenal of the main hero, Doom Slayer in primitive times with some high-tech weapons. Like, same overall arsenal for the most part as Doom Slayer. Like, the frickin' Soul Blade comes to mind.
You mean the Warblade? Like for Turok 2, you talking about the Warblade, or you talking about something else?
Doom Slayer's sword, as well as the Warblade from Turok 2, come to mind. So basically, a prehistoric shenanigan version of what you'd expect from Doom Eternal, so to speak. I wish I knew how to word it better here. I'm like,
That makes
but my point is, this was the game that got me introduced into the more gorier, to the more violent M-rated games that were more or less traditionally for the gore fest in terms of what kind of visual spectacle you were in for.
True, yeah.
And it was rather ambitious with what kind of weapons of cruelty the enemies for all the trouble they give you. And the cerebral bore, like, that fucking scarred me when I first saw that thing in action.
Scar you? How?
Well, first, there was the version of it from Turok Evolution I was introduced first. The version in Turok Evolution was basically a microscopic chainsaw that sliced off your head, your arms, and your legs until you were reduced to nothing but a bloody pulp of a main torso and nothing else.
Oh yeah,
Not only that, the cerebral bore had what I call near perfect, considering it could not only home in on targets, but targets who were being targeted by it had nothing to do but flee, because otherwise, if they got hit, it was instant death.
Run away!
Yeah, because like Grim Monolith, you haven't really said much here lately, so why don't you say some stuff?
Well, if we're talking, I didn't look. These are not systems that I grew up on. So I'm a little bit older than you guys, clearly. Looking at the jobs that I've worked, but so I was in undergrad when these systems came out. So, but I still spent a lot of time on both of them, even though I don't have childhood memories with them. And one of my big things was RPGs. I always loved RPGs. I played RPGs growing up in the 80s. When the RPGs were a lot simpler, and most of those were on DOS, on a DOS computer. Although I did play, some like NES and some Master System and TurboGrafx-16 stuff, but on the PlayStation, of course, I'm gonna use this as an example because everyone uses it as an example. Final Fantasy VII. I mean, I loved Final Fantasy VII. It was one of my favorite games of that era. I loved Final Fantasy X. I'm sorry, 9. 10 was on PS2. Excuse me. Final Fantasy 9 was another one that I really loved. Lunar, Silver Star Story 1 and 2. I loved those games. I know they were a bit archaic even for the PS1, but I loved the cutscenes and the story behind it and the characters, and because those games, of course, came from the Sega Saturn. I'm sorry, the Sega CD.
Yeah.
The Sega Saturn. They came from the Sega CD. So they were kind of like remakes put together by Atlas from the Sega CD versions. And I actually never got a chance to play those versions of it, but I played the PS1 versions of it, and I really loved them. So those were kind of like my favorite games on the PS1 were all the RPGs, and there were tons and tons of RPGs.
Oh, another
RPG, another RPG I really loved was Chrono Cross, because and I know there's debate on some people like it, some people don't like it, because it was sort of like the continuation or the next in the series from Chrono Trigger, which was a groundbreaking RPG on the SNES.
I was gonna say, for a moment I thought you were gonna say Chrono Trigger at the start.
Fun fact.
Well, Chrono Trigger was actually ported to the PS1 as a part of Final Fantasy, I think 4 was and stuff like that, as a part of the little compilation thing.
Yeah, and then later it was also it was also ported to the DS as well later. And I had played the DS version.
Steam.
Yes, and Steam. Yep. So Chrono Trigger definitely got around, which is great because I loved that game so much. Yeah,
anyone that has not played the game, you can pretty much get it on your computer.
Right.
Fun fact, it's actually my favorite game of all time.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. Nice. And you know what? I am totally down with that. I loved the game so much. And I did like Chrono Cross on the PS1. And I know, like I said, there's some debate. Some people like Chrono Cross, some people don't. And I totally get it. We all like different stuff. Another genre that I really loved on the PS1 was the horror games. Silent Hill 1, I loved that.
We did establish that I was talking about Chrono Trigger being my favorite game, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I have a personal story regarding a relatively obscure horror game on PS1.
Sure, go ahead.
If you guys have nothing else to talk about at the moment,
I was only going to mention just there were a lot of games on the N64 I also enjoyed. I mean, I played a lot more PS1 stuff.
Me too.
But believe it or not, I really did enjoy Doom 64 because it had different maps and a slightly kind of different story than the Doom that was on DOS and the Doom that was on PS1. And of course, the graphics for Doom 64 were certainly better than the previous Dooms. And I really enjoyed Doom 64. And I'm going to have to kind of like double up on the Turok talk. Without getting into super detail, I loved the Turok games on the N64 as well. At that time, I was also a PC gamer, a big StarCraft player. I actually did some esports for StarCraft, but StarCraft 1 was such a disappointment on, I should just say StarCraft in general, because there was no StarCraft 2 on N64, but StarCraft 1 on N64 was such a disaster, oh my god. But I still played it just because it was kind of a cool novelty, so, I definitely kind of liked it, And, hey, I gotta ask, did anyone out there like Quest 64?
No.
Am I the only person that liked that game?
God.
I played
I know it's a
I
bad
still need
game.
to do more of it. I'm still trying to get the time to work on it again.
I never
even played
I've
it.
never played
I
it.
literally gave
because-
it a chance just to spite someone, so...
Oh god.
The most
yeah.
I know of it is per Jared's review.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, there's a lot of cases to be made over what class the character in the game actually is, as opposed to mage. Because if you really think about it with what spells you ultimately learn throughout the course of the game, you're better off as a monk than you are as an actual mage.
It's true. I agree with you, man. I agree. True.
Yeah.
Like, all the skills you're getting in that point over the course of the game, you're not a mage, a monk.
Yep,
I've never played Quest 64 because I was always too busy renting Pokemon Puzzle League.
Oh,
I was always renting that
Oh.
thing because I've been trying to beat it as a kid.
yeah.
To be honest here.
Yeah, but like, it was just Pokemon Stadium. Yes, I loved Pokemon Stadium. It was fun to like play like a 3D console version of the Game Boy games, or like fighting for the Pokemon fighting each other stuff. That was cool. But just Pokemon Snap was good, but just that all you're doing is taking pictures, which is an interesting idea. But still, like more, like there could have been more to it. I mean, of course, they introduced us to Todd Snap and stuff, but once you like beat the game, it's
Have
like,
you even tried to take that perfect picture of Mew? That is freaking hard.
yes, I have tried. I actually succeeded too. I did try.
I have never succeeded that.
I found out how to do that. I found a way how to do that.
Oh,
You have
no.
when he's chasing that little thing, you gotta throw an apple at it, and it'll turn around, and you'll be able to take the picture.
Like,
I mean-
I will say something right now regarding Stadium 2 that I have always to the emulated runs I've done with a variety of the other Game Boy and Game Boy Color games in the main series. When it came to ultimately utilizing Mewtwo in any of the cups I was allowed to use it in, there was always one thing I had in mind for the moveset in terms of making it a mixed attacker, even though it was better as a special attacker. Because, let's just say, I knew all too well that Tyranitar, the pseudo-legendary of Gen 2, getting its 3D debut in Pokemon Stadium 2, was an absolute monstrosity that would never leave a scene worth a damn, and was effectively future-proofed in terms of what it could do and how its stats work.
Now, because I know we have all probably played both of these games, and we all are going to have our reasons for liking one or the other, but which Zelda 64 game did you like better? Did you just like the Legend of Zelda, or did you like Majora's Mask better? Now, let me just throw out there quick.
I'll chime in.
The first N64 Zelda is called Ocarina of Time.
Right, Ocarina of Time. I was a Majora's Mask fan. I just liked, and I know it's a different game, and I liked kind of like the time travel aspect of it, how you had to wake up and kind of like redo the same day over and over. I'm not saying Ocarina of Time was a bad game. I thought it was a great game.
Sorry about that. I have
lot-
to quiet down a little bit.
You know, it was a lot of fun, but I just think I ended up having more fun with Majora's Mask.
Sorry.
I'll just put this simply for my response with what you ask. My answer is yes.
You liked them both.
Yep. The Zelda games I actually have the most attachment to is on the Game Boy Color.
Well, for me, I'm gonna give my last thing. I'm sure a lot of people know this. I don't like either of them. I'm not a Zelda fan. I could never get into Zelda, and I know people are gonna give me hate for this, but I just couldn't get into Zelda. I never cared for Zelda. I thought Zelda games were just kind of boring for me and stuff like that. They were just. I just didn't like them. I mean, I keep in mind, I have played them. I played both of them, but this was before I realized I wasn't a fan of Zelda games at all. I mean, like, I know people say Brave Fencer Musashi on the PlayStation 1 is kind of like Zelda, but, you know, it kind of is, but just that it's not as confusing or boring as that is what I'm trying to say there. I mean, I have played Brave Fencer Musashi. It's one of my favorite games by Square on the PlayStation, which Square Soft at the time, because it also came to play with them on Final Fantasy VIII. I'll remember that. But, I just never really cared for Zelda at all. I mean, like, it's just, I mean, like, didn't care for any of them. Didn't care for that awful cartoon series. Didn't care for the Game Boy games or the N64 games or the Game games or anything. I just don't care for Zelda in general. It's just me. It's just who I am. The only thing I do like about Zelda is playing as Princess Zelda in Smash Bros. Melee. It's the only thing I like about Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda in Smash Bros. Is a really good character.
Yeah.
My gaze is focused on you right now, and it is disappointing.
Okay.
Except for the Zelda cartoon, everybody kind of knows that's bad.
And the CDI games as well.
But,
Well,
the
excuse
cartoon's
me, princess.
bad. Like, the cartoon's bad in a so bad it's good kind of way.
This is going to make you guys reevaluate me, possibly, but I actually missed out. I did not really join the Zelda bandwagon until, like, I believe Wind Waker, even though I only rented it. Majora's Mask I played when I was younger than that, but my uncle owned it, and I apparently deleted the save files and got in trouble, and
Oops.
never was able to play it again. Eventually got the remakes for both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on the 3DS. Honestly, I don't really have all that much of an attachment to either of the N64 or Zelda games, considering they were more or less absent from my childhood, and plus didn't have as much of an impact as some of the later games did.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I said Majora's Mask because actually Majora's Mask it's much different than a lot of the other Zelda games, and I really think that even with the newer Zelda games, and I know Breath of the Wild is, you know, it's like an open world game compared to the others. The other Zelda games are a lot more linear, but I still feel like Majora's Mask, as far as the older Zelda games go, is different. It's a lot different, and I really enjoyed that. And I still enjoy the other Zelda games as well. But those were some of my favorite games on the N64.
Okay, thank you. As you can probably tell from my profile, I am a huge Zelda nerd. Well, kind of.
Understatement of the century.
I haven't really done a whole lot with the Switch era yet, but I did grow up with a lot of the older Zeldas. Like, my favorite Zeldas usually consist of the 3D Zeldas, and Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are no exception, even though my first time playing those was on the Wii's Virtual Console. And, okay, actually I did have Ocarina of Time's Master Quest Edition that came bundled with Wind Waker, but, like, growing up, I was actually kind of shit at video games and didn't get very far in Zelda at all. Even with a strategy guide, I just plain sucked. And then, like, years later, I picked up these games again and actually, like, I actually started playing them legit and ended up liking them. But if you ask me, I do like both, but obviously Majora's Mask just feels like the more... It just kind of feels like the richer story experience, you know? Like, it has a little less gameplay-wise, but its side quests kind of make up for it. And it still has enough main story content to keep you entertained for a bit. And, like, both of those games, like, none of them are really my favorite Zelda. My favorite Zelda is personally Wind Waker HD on the Wii U. But Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are still quality Zelda games. And, like...
Cool.
And there is absolutely no denying that Ocarina of Time basically made a lot of people's childhoods, you know?
I kind of want to add something regarding Ocarina of Time. Apparently, believe it or not, there was an actual legit surprise that the game was even made on the N64 in the first place, considering they pulled off quite a bit of things on a tiny-ass cartridge, among other things being the giant-sized bosses compared to the main player. Like, regardless of which Link you're using at the given time in the game, even some of the mini-bosses were giants compared to you. Like, and it just... I don't know, just... Being able to work with the limitations of storage space actually kind of impressed me of what Nintendo was still capable of, even when they were at one of the low points at that point.
I honestly don't really care much for the technical side of things. I just care about my enjoyment. I just care about my enjoyment factor when it comes to a game.
But it's still impressive looking back on the original game.
It is. So I tend to prefer the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time because the models are like closer to the official artwork.
And plus they
It's
have
true.
fixed a few issues with certain things. For example, the water dungeon.
They actually, I recall hearing this, but I think they actually kept in some of the glitches that people could pull off for speedruns.
Probably.
Yeah.
So as far as horror games go, because you know, there was quite a few horror games
for PlayStation and Nintendo
on the
64,
PlayStation 1.
like
But were there any ones in particular that anyone enjoyed? I know I had mentioned Silent Hill.
well, yeah.
I will mention that when I played Resident Evil 2, I actually played it on the N64. I did not play the PS1 version first. I played the N64 version
I
first.
have never played any horror games.
Oh.
I don't remember if I've actually played any horror games at all, but I never got a chance to say my experiences with the N64 and PlayStation at all. My first console was actually the PlayStation, and my first video game was A Bug's Life for the PlayStation 1. And I mostly, for a while, I just kind of mostly played Disney tie-in games, and this is back when they actually consistently made some pretty damn good licensed games. But one day I got 3 games. I got Croc, I got Rayman, and I got Spyro. Now, Croc and Rayman, they were fine, but I never really got into them. But Spyro, though...
Of course, Spyro became one of the most popular video game characters out there.
I ended up getting really into Spyro back then.
Yeah.
I got all 3 of the original games, and I got like the greatest hits version of Spyro 3, which came with you know, the music that was initially cut out of the original version that ended up taking it back into the reignited version. I did have a few more PlayStation games, but I mostly just played Spyro. In terms of the N64, I did have one, but the only games I really played all that much were Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Snap. I was kind of a big Pokemon fan back in the day. And I didn't get the real big guns like Mario 64 or Ocarina of Time until like years later. And one of the first and a Nintendo 64 game I really enjoyed was Kirby 64 TT or Grim. I forget which one of you didn't like Kirby 64.
It was me.
It was
Tony.
TT.
It was CT.
That's actually a fan favorite among Kirby games, and it was my first Kirby game, and I got into Kirby a little bit later through Superstar Ultra. And now I'm kind of a big Kirby guy. But yeah. Kirby 64 was a big one. I didn't have a lot to grow up with, but what I did grow up with was good. And I think that's really all I have to say on that matter.
Question, have we brought up Donkey Kong 64?
No, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
I don't think we have.
We have not. We got... Sorry.
I remember seeing someone play it back in my childhood, but I never really played it for myself until it was re-released on the Wii U. As Marty would tell you, that port ended up... Okay, so you know how the original N64 version ran at 30 frames per second and the game was optimized to that particular frame time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the Wii U re-release up that to 60 frames per second, and the game ended up being optimized. Everything sped up, and let's just say everything was a little worse off for it.
Yeah, I know Donkey Kong 64 was one of the games that you needed the expansion pack to play the game, or else you just got a screen that says expansion pack required. So like that was one of those type of games along with Turok 2 and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because I remember like seeing Donkey Kong 64 and I was thinking to myself, it's about time we got a Donkey Kong game on the Nintendo 64 because like what the heck happened was going on with Donkey Kong? 'Cause I remember like the cheesy opening cutscene with the DK rap and all that stuff, and
Everybody memes that to death.
yeah.
I'll be honest here. I got terrified of Donkey Kong 64 because of one of the bosses.
Is it Mad Jack?
Yes.
It's always Mad Jack.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, what was I gonna say here? Like, I liked how it introduced Tiny Kong, because she was Dixie Kong's sister. I liked when there's Dixie Kong, Donkey Kong 2, and Donkey Kong Country 3. And it was cool that Tiny Kong had Dixie's trademark, whatever that hair spin thing that makes the spin thing that makes her float through the air and stuff, and that was really cool because I remember like saying, yeah, I unlocked Tiny Kong, but why can't I do her moves like that? And then you had to go to Cranky and you had to go.
Tiny Kong can change her size
Yeah.
to suit her moves.
Yeah, and like of course seeing the Banana Fairy, the Banana Fairy was kind of an annoying character because she just stood there crying the whole time, just like it's just that she just stood there just crying, not even thankful that the Kongs are going to rescue her Banana Fairies like that. But then but it is good that like she feels better when you talk to her and stuff. But
And then there's, on the subject of Tiny Kong, she went through one hell of a redesign in Diddy Kong Racing DS.
I know. She looks
what?
awful looking. She looks awful looking.
She does look terrible. Hey, from another quick technical question, and I know, like you guys had just mentioned, how you needed the expansion module, the 4 megabyte expansion module for Donkey Kong 64. Now, I'm trying to remember. Did you also need it for Majora's Mask? I feel like it was also needed for Majora's Mask, but I'm not 100% sure.
Also, I wasn't saying the redesign was awful, just that it was different. I've seen worse redesigns. Also, I think you did need the expansion pack to play Majora's Mask, but I could be wrong.
I remember like Diddy Kong Racing. That was a good one too because like it was actually interesting. Diddy Kong gets its own game. It's not Donkey Kong, but still, like, it's pretty cool there because like it was a Rare game. It was made by Rare, and it was like so a lot. I'll admit the original version of the N64 was awesome, but the DS version was not very good. I had the DS version as well, and it was not very good. You were better off playing the N64 version definitely. And
was the DS version missing characters? I'm trying to remember what some of the stuff that was wrong with the DS version, because I think didn't the DS version come out after Rare had already been bought by Microsoft?
I think so. Yeah.
Some of the licensing went along with that over to Microsoft, and I think that there was certain things that Nintendo just didn't have access to.
Right.
And I'm kind of at a loss of what those specific things are. But I'm sure one of us.
And poor Banjo suffered from it.
Yeah, because like Diddy Kong Racing was how we first introduced the Banjo, and it's the only game where he speaks English in. And you know what's actually funny about Banjo and Diddy Kong Racing? The person who voices him voices Jonathan Steiner in Perfect Dark. No joke. You know Jonathan from
Never
Perfect Dark?
played Perfect Dark, but cool.
Yeah, cause
Thumbs
like,
up.
I'm Banjo! Whoa! Like that. Or, yeah, like, it's like...
Sadet, I have a question. Sadet, it sounds like, and I'm just wondering, were you, are you not a big fan of first-person shooters? Is that why you didn't play a lot of these games? Or is it just you just didn't get a chance to play these particular games?
Never got a chance to play those particular games because I had parents that were a bit... Well,
Great.
my mom was a gamer. She was very picky with certain games that I'd play because I was a very, very sensitive kid. I'm still sensitive even now, but I'm not as sensitive over horror and shooting related games. But when I was little, I was very sensitive and got nightmares easily, as indicated by my story about A Link to the Past Ganon.
Understandable.
No, understandable. So that's why you didn't weren't playing those particular games, and it makes total sense now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And if they still don't interest you now, then no, they still don't interest you now. You know,
Yeah.
we all like different stuff.
It's understandable, yeah, definitely. But like,
Since I'm older, I am willing to give those games a second chance if I ever get the chance.
yeah. But like, there was one game we didn't really talk about much that perfected the first-person shooter genre was GoldenEye, because GoldenEye perfected the first-person shooter genre for the N64 and everything, because it had all the guns, and I remember like playing the multiplayer to death like crazy and wanting to get certain guns in single-player mode, like the automatic shotgun, the RCP-90, the grenade launcher, the AR-33 assault rifles, the MG 9mm, and like
That was like the game itself became like, you know, the ultimate couch co-op sort of game on the N64. At least, you know,
it had
for
no
me,
co-op. It didn't have co-op.
not couch co-op, but I should say
Multiplayer.
deathmatch.
Cult.
Multiplayer. Yes, sorry. Let me rephrase what I was saying. Couch play, not couch co-op. You know, a lot of time, you know, for a lot of time in when I was an undergrad, you know, we used to sit around just killing each other in GoldenEye.
By the way, quick question, Grim.
Yep.
Are you a 90s kid?
Yes.
Me too.
Same here.
Me too.
But I'm a 90s kid, as in I went to college and high school in the 90s. So I was in high school. Yeah, I was in high school in the early 90s, and I got my first college degree. I graduated from college in 99 with my first bachelor's. And then I went to
So
grad.
are you an 80s or a 70s kid?
I'm so technically, so in that, yes, to answer that question, I would be an 80s kid.
Okay.
I was definitely more of a 90s kid myself.
Yeah. 70s is that's a little before me. I do have an older brother who would have been a 70s kid, but I was an 80s kid. So I was in, you know, elementary and middle school and whatnot in the 1980s.
So I remember having like 3/5 of the 90s that I lived through. So I guess I could call myself a 90s kid.
Well, I was born in 1988, so yeah, I get to experience a lot of the 90s growing up as a kid and stuff. So that's how I let experience games like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini, and all that stuff. But like we were talking a lot about the N64. We should talk a little bit more about the PlayStation here, because like there's a lot of games that we grew up with.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot more that we could talk about here, like for the PlayStation, because the PlayStation is my all-time favorite console. I know we spent a lot of time about the Nintendo 64, but we gotta talk about the PlayStation now. I mean, I remember, like I said, when I first played PlayStation, I played Chronicles of the Gold at my cousin's house for Thanksgiving, and then we got a PlayStation itself on March 13th, 1998. I remember playing Tomb Raider 2, playing the original Ace Combat, known as Air Combat. Playing
Armored Core? Armored Core?
Yeah, Armored Core, yeah, I remember playing that as well. That was a great game there. Along with IQ, Intelligent Cube, which is a puzzle game that captures all the cubes, and like playing Gran Turismo, Twisted Metal 2, which I got for a first communion gift. No joke, I got Twisted Metal 2 as a first communion gift and I saw Twisted Metal 2, and another Twisted Metal 1. So I begged my parents to get me the first Twisted Metal, and so I could play as Sweet Tooth and Spectre and all of them. And also playing the original Rayman, which was a very hard game, but still it was a fun game. And also playing Parappa the Rapper, which what got me introduced to the rhythm-based game, but I didn't own Parappa the Rapper until after Jam and Lammy. I liked Jam and Lammy more because I liked the rock style. Like, I'm more a fan of rock music than rap music. I remember playing getting Jam and Lammy on New Year's Eve of 1999 because, like, we had to return some Christmas gifts that we already had, so we were able to return some gifts, and we were able to get some items in return. I remember getting a Joshua Fireseed Turok 2 action figure along with Jam and Lammy for the PlayStation. Yeah, 'cause like with me, and my brother got an action figure and a video game, and I don't remember what he got, but like I remember getting Jam and saying, "Oh look, there's Jam and Lammy." I remember seeing the game 'cause I remember, but like I remember like I thought she was a female version of Knuckles from Sonic the Hedgehog. It kind of got me into wanting
Really?
to. Yes, really.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
Like,
That's pretty funny.
Like I remember like playing the demo. I was so bad at the demo. I was so bad at playing the demo that I pretty much didn't want the game. But then I thought to myself, well, I kind of played Parappa the Rapper on Thanksgiving at my cousin's house in 1999. So I figured, well, maybe I'll give this game a chance because like what could go wrong there? I mean, like, what could go wrong? Like, we'll give the game, I get a chance, and I ended up beating it on New Year's Day, the day before I had about Christmas vacation ended, because yeah, like, we went back to school, Christmas school resumed on January 2nd, the day after New Year's Day, and I was like, damn, Christmas break's over already. That's because like 2 weeks ago went by so fast. I remember like playing a lot of games that we got for Christmas, like Jet Force Gemini, Pac-Man World 20th Anniversary, which was a great game definitely. Also playing.
Rapper was such a unique game. You know, I'd never really played anything like that before it came out, and I just remember it for that, for like the uniqueness of it and how it kind of like created a whole new genre, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I also remember like playing also there, like, of course we also had the Army Men games. We got introduced into the Army Men games, Army Men Air Attack, Sergeant's Heroes, Army Men 3D World War, all of them. Yes, we're playing all of those, which is a shame.
Crash Bandicoot. What do you think about the Crash Bandicoot series?
You know what I think of Crash Bandicoot. I've made reviews on all the Crash games I own, so you should know. Oh, yep,
I've seen them.
Yes, and
I've seen them.
Yes.
But for the interest of the podcast, why don't you let us know?
Yes, like I owned like the first 4 Crash games are awesome. Crash Bash was, I didn't really like Crash Bash that much. Wrath of Cortex was good. Nitro Kart was fair, and Twin Sandy I didn't like. I didn't like Twin Sandy. That's pretty much killed the Crash series for me. But like, yeah, the original Crash games will always be the best. It would have been cool if Coco Bandicoot got a spin-off, but what can you do?
Yeah, probably won't see that happen now with Crash 4. It came out and they didn't do it, and I thought Crash 4 was a great game, but I mean Crash 1, 2, and 3, man, I'll always remember those games.
And CTR, you can't forget CTR, because that was made by Naughty Dog, and yet the CTR was definitely a lot of fun there. And I remember like also playing games like Gex, the Gex games, Gex and the Gecko. And,
oh right, Gex.
Yeah.
Wasn't Gex on the Saturn too? I'm trying to think of other systems.
Yes, it was on the Saturn, and it started on the 3DO, but it was ported to the PlayStation and the Saturn. And Gex and the Gecko and Gex 3 were ported to the N64, and boy oh boy, the N64 version of Gex and the Gecko is terrible. The story is pretty much taken out for the most part. You pretty much don't even care what's going on. I mean, like I remember playing the N64 version of Gex and Gecko at my cousin's house for his birthday. And boy, oh boy.
Was that due to size limitations? Probably on the cartridges.
Yes, it was. But still, they could have done more with that. But like, there is one game that is underrated. It's Jersey Devil. Jersey Devil is it's like a horror themed, Halloween themed platform.
Oh, wait a second. I don't think I've heard of that one. Dad, have you ever heard of that game? I don't think I've heard of it.
Jersey Devil.
Yeah, tell us.
Don't even ask me about PlayStation games because I've never grew up with the PlayStation. My very first PlayStation system was the PS4, and that was only to play Digimon Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, as well as Next Order.
Ah, interesting. Because yes, like Jersey Devil was a platformer where you played as the Jersey Devil himself, and I did review that for a Halloween special back in 2017, which I will redo that game.
And
so.
for those who don't know, the Jersey Devil is an urban myth about a creature that lives in
A cryptid by the same name.
An urban myth about a creature that lives in the woods, and I don't know what area of New Jersey, but in an area of New Jersey, and there's supposed disappearances surrounding the Jersey Devil. I don't know the specifics of the actual urban myth, but there was an X-Files episode on it.
I never really watched that show, so.
But that's about as much as I know about the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, because like I do also remember I had all those FMV games like Wing Commander 3, The Heart of the Tiger, and Wing Commander 4, Price of Freedom, which were really good games.
Oh, I had those on DOS because I was a huge DOS gamer. I loved those games on DOS.
Yeah,
I found where it is. It's in the southern New Jersey and Philadelphia areas.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah, because
cool.
like
that's where the. I was just gonna say that's cool. That she found where the myth is kind of centered around, which is definitely interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and like
it took me a moment because the first thing that popped up when I put New Jersey Devil is a sports team.
Yeah, because their hockey team is called the Devils.
Yes.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've watched hockey.
Yeah, because like if you want to talk about PlayStation here, we gotta talk about my favorite game of all time that's on the PlayStation, Tekken 3. Like Tekken 3 is my favorite game of all time, and nothing will top its perfection. Nothing will top it.
So, do you feel that Tekken 3 is like the perfection of fighting games?
Oh yes, yes, I do agree. Like everything was perfect on so many levels. I mean, you can check out my reviews, my original, my remastered review on that. You'll check it out and you'll see how much fun the game is. I mean, Tekken 2. Here's a funny thing. I liked Tekken 2 when I was a kid. I liked Tekken 2 more, but then like back in 2000, when I finally decided to look at all the characters unlocked, I finally got them all unlocked, and I started liking Tekken 3 more. I thought to myself, why did I like Tekken 2 more back in the day? I'll never know. But playing Tekken 3, it was the best. It was the best. And like nothing. And of course, the character I always play as is the Irish assassin, Anna Williams. I'd like to play as her more. I played as Nina in the first two, but Anna is my favorite in the third one. And along with the Tekken 10 tournament, Tekken 4, it's Nina. But you get the picture. You get the picture of what I mean there. Because I already mentioned this in the past, but just saying there. And like, of course, they had Soul Edge, which is Soul Edge, which was like made by Namco as well, which was fun. But it introduced us to Ridge Racer, because Ridge Racer was was like the main game that came with the system in North America, because like it was the first game that came out for the system in North America. And I remember getting that game. I mean, like, I got that game used that like when I was younger, so that's my first thing about the long boxes. But the PlayStation Edition long boxes were like, or definitely collector's items. I have 62 PS1 games in the long box and stuff. And I try to take my best to take good care of them, because they're collector items. They'll be collector items for sure when you get older, and like I want to keep them and stuff. And like a lot of people didn't really like the long boxes, but I do, because I think they're definitely relics for sure. Because like I can tell you some of the games I have in my long box. I got Tekken, I got Primal Rage, Ridge Racer, Viewpoint, Descent, Doom. Wing Commander 3, Heart of the Tiger. I got Battle Arena Toshinden 1 and 2, which were pretty much
and
fighting.
Definitely a couple of those, Tony, were ports from DOS, actually.
Yeah, I know.
DOS games.
Yeah, I know, like Doom and Wing Commander 3. Yeah, I know that, definitely. And of course, I also got...
It can be played on anything.
Mm-hmm. Because I also got one of the rare ones, Starblade Alpha. That is a good one there, Starblade Alpha. That's a good one, Starblade Alpha. And I also remember...
What about the PlayStation 1 R-Type games? Because they had taken R-Type to kind of...
I never got R-Type Delta, but I wish I did, because the way it goes now in price, yeah, it's just way too expensive. Because like I just...
Is it expensive? I was going through a bunch of my PS2 games the other day, and I saw, and I know this is a PS2 game. I I had a PS2 game, R-Type Final. And I'm actually wondering, is that the last R-Type game that they actually ever made?
I think so. Yes, I think so. Because like there was a shoot 'em up that there was a shoot 'em up game that I had in a long box on PlayStation. It was called the Raiden Project. It was a combination of Raiden and Raiden 2. Like those were like that. It was good to have that in the system in the console. Yeah, like that was just so cool there, the Raiden Project. And like I'm glad I got that when I did, because like the way it goes up in price now is just crazy. And of course I also have Crazy Ivan, I have Twisted Metal in the long box, I have Rayman in the long box, I got Air Combat in the long box, Gex in the long box. Damn, this is a long box-a-thon, I know. Jupiter Strike, also known as Zeitgeist, which is a crappy space flying game. Yeah, I know. And what else do I got? There's so many of them. And of course, I also have Brain Dead 13, which is one of those like quick time event games like Dragon's Lair or so, which was actually pretty interesting there. I did have Returned Fire and Psychic Detective, but I didn't really like those games that much, so I don't really have those anymore. And I also have what other games did I have on the PS1 in the long box collection? I'm trying to think here because there's a lot of them. Oh, DEF CON 5. Oh yeah, DEF
Evil
CON.
1 came in the long box. Resident Evil 1?
Yes, I have that as well. Yes, Resident Evil 1. I mean, like speaking of Resident Evil, that is the best way to play the original Resident Evil. Is the original version, the non.
You don't like Director's Cut?
I do, but just that Director's Cut is a little too easy with the auto aim and stuff, and there's some minor changes to the text and stuff like that, which is a little annoying there. And of course, it was supposed to be the uncensored content, and we didn't get that. That's just me though, but
Yeah.
But I also remember the director Resident Evil was there, and also D, which is a game called D, which I reviewed for my Halloween special. D stands for Dracula. I'm gonna say that there, and yeah, like there is a lot.
Because why not?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's more of them, but I'll be here all day naming them. But like the PS1 had some pretty bad games too, like Spawn the Eternal, Bubsy 3D, Largo Winch Commando SAR, which oh my god, I've introduced people to that game and they all agree that game sucks ass. Big time. Don't play it. It was a budget price game when it came out and it's terrible. It's based off
I've never played it, and on your suggestion, I will never even take a look at it.
Watch my review. If you want more details, watch my review. That game is so bad. I literally even showed the ending in my review because the ending was just so bad. Like it's just the story is awful, the cutscenes are awful, and all that stuff. It's based off of a Belgian comic and a French television series that nobody's ever heard of, and this is the only way we heard about Largo Winch, and it's just terrible so much. Like it's just it rips off Siphon Filter and Tomb Raider in so many ways, and it's not done good at all. Especially when you have a weapon, you have a pistol and throwing knives at certain levels, and you can't get any more ammo. So once you're out, you're fucked. And also you have to rely on punching the bad guys with your fist and everything, which only stuns them. And when a lot of people gang up on you, you are in trouble. Especially when there's no health power-ups either, and you got to start at the checkpoint or so, or at the beginning of the level. And like you can get through the game once you know what you're doing, but you won't be satisfied at all because it's an unsatisfied ending, and just doesn't really do it for anybody. And
I understand.
Yeah.
Now I have a question, Sadet. Have you had a chance to, play any PS1 games sort of through emulation or anything like that? Because of course, like you were saying, it's not a system that you had at all when you were younger, which is totally understandable because not everyone gets every system. Some people just get one system, and that's kind of what they kind of center on. But with emulation and everything, because PS1 emulation is pretty popular these days. I was just wondering if you had ever gotten a chance to try anything through emulation.
So, my very first time playing a PlayStation 1 game was at a friend's house.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Okay. So where were we?
We're talking about the PlayStation.
The very first PlayStation 1 games I've played was, if I'm recalling correctly, at my friend's house, was Legend of Dragoons.
Oh, it's a great game. Great game.
Oh yeah, Legend. I played Legend.
I
of
am
Dragoons
not
as well.
100% sure if this was a PS1 or a PS2 game, but
Legend
Tales of the Abyss.
That's
I-
a PS1 game. Yep.
Okay. So, he pretty much exposed me to of Abyss, which, when it got imported to the DS or 3DS, I just immediately bought it and enjoyed it so much.
Good choice.
That's awesome. Are you a fan of any of the other Tales games? Because I'm a huge fan of just the
Symphonia.
Tales games. Oh,
Symphonia.
yes. Awesome.
Symphonia
awesome,
all the
awesome.
way.
I never played any of
I-
the Tales games.
I have the re-release of Symphonia on the PS3.
I have the GameCube version, and I got the port on Steam.
Cool, awesome. Great series. And I'll just say there's a lot of games that are similar to the Tales games that were on the PS1. So
And the last game that my old friend exposed me to was, I believe it was the PS1 version of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 7. Yeah, that's how I got introduced to Final Fantasy, with Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9. I mean, 8 was my favorite, 7 was in second place, and 9 is my third favorite out of the PS1 ones. I mean, not counting tactic down like strategy games. So you'll never see me review a strategy game. I don't like strategy games. I think they're boring because all you're doing is telling a person to go there. Tell a person it gets boring after a while. So you'll never see me do any strategy games.
So
I personally like strategy games, which is probably why I like the Fire Emblem series.
That's
I was
fine.
a huge fan of Final Fantasy Tactics on the PS1. I thought that was great. And of course, Fire Emblem, Advance Wars, those were some tactics games I really loved on Nintendo. And on the PlayStation, I loved Final Fantasy Tactics. I loved Disgaea. I think Disgaea is a great game. That's a good tactics game.
Disgaea's been ported to Steam.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's on Windows now, and that's a great game. Have you tried that one out at all? Have you tried Disgaea?
Bless you.
Yeah, excuse me. My first exposure to the Disgaea series was actually the anime.
Cool.
Yeah, like, of course, like we talked about JRPG, RPGs, Parasite Eve was definitely the way to go. I love Parasite
Oh,
Eve.
yeah. Parasite Eve, right.
I like
I've heard of Parasite Eve from a different friend on Discord, and I don't want to play it.
Why?
I don't. Nope.
There's some horror elements to it, so I understand, because you were saying you're not big into horror games at all, so I think that's would probably be a good reason for you to stay away from it. If you don't like, any games with like horror type elements, then Parasite Eve probably wouldn't be for you. What about Persona 1 and 2?
I have never played a Persona game. I did recently buy a while back Persona 4 that was ported to Steam.
Yeah, Persona 4 Golden. The only shining, I shouldn't say the only, but that's sort of the game that kept the Vita alive as long as it did, because the original Persona 4 was a PS2 game, and then they did Persona 4 Golden, which was kind of like a port, a remake. They added some stuff to it, and they put that on the Vita, and then
So I was exposed to the third game because of a YouTuber I watched.
Persona 3, right, which was a PS2 game. I didn't really play much of that one. Did you play a lot of that one? Was it a good game? 'Cause that was one I didn't.
I did not play it. I just watched a YouTuber do a Let's Play of it when I was really into watching Let's Plays. And it was a good game.
Cool. Yeah, I've liked all the Persona games I've played, so I imagine, it's probably a good game. That was one that I didn't get to play. I did 1 and 2, I did 4 for Golden, and then I did 5. And I haven't had a chance to pick up, the the extra content for 5 yet, but I'll get around to that eventually.
Give me a second here.
It's Persona 5 Royal Edition, right? Is that the...
I'm not sure.
Hold on a
I don't
second.
play Persona.
I'm just going to slide this to you in private, Grim.
Yeah, but we gotta get back on topic here, though.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, but like,
There we go.
yeah, but like back to saying about Parasite Eve, like a lot of people say that Parasite Eve 2 was not very good. I like Parasite Eve 2 better. I mean, I already mentioned in my review that I like Parasite Eve 2 better because it played more like Resident Evil and stuff, and that's why I like Parasite Eve 2 more. I mean, of course, Parasite Eve 1 I enjoy because, like, it was a different take on-
Thank you for sending that to me, Sadet. I'll definitely have to give that a watch.
Yeah, because like I'm back to like saying like with the Parasite Eve, Eve 1, like just that. What I liked about it is that like it didn't have like any like wizards or knights or any of those things. Like it actually just took place in New York City where you use like guns like that. I mean, sure, you talk about mitochondria and all that stuff, but still, it was definitely more well worth it in the end because like it was. I just prefer that series more, and Aya Brea is one of my favorite video game characters of all time, next to Jill Valentine from Resident Evil and stuff because. And of course, like there's also Dino Crisis, where it's like Resident Evil, so you're fighting dinosaurs. Which I did a let's play of the two games and reviewed the first game, which I'll be doing a review of that game as well because I know it can improve and be a lot better. But I just like trying to think here. Like there was so many of horror games too. There's also a game called Shrag, which is like kind of like a futuristic Resident Evil, like just that took place in the future. We could play it as a man or a woman. I haven't played the game much, so I don't remember much about it. But like I mean, it definitely had some really good games on there and stuff. Like I never got really into Persona. I didn't really care for Persona. I tried to get into Persona, but just couldn't really get into it. Along with Wild Arms, couldn't really get into Wild Arms, and like and of course like those Brave Fist Musashi, which was awesome. And I know Grim Monolith probably knows this, but I did play Lunar, Silver Star, and Lunar 2 Eternal Blue, but I did own them for the PS1 along with Arc Light Collection, but I didn't like the games, so I sold them because, I didn't like the games. I mean, like, it's just, I'm not a big fan of 2D RPGs. I mean, I know that it's mean to say, but it's that I didn't really grow up with 2D RPGs. I didn't really care for them.
Well, I will say this, and you know that I do love those games. But they are kind of like from a different generation, so they're not even really 32-bit generation games. They are, yes, on a 32-bit console. They are on the PlayStation generation of games, but because they were ported over, Lunar, as we were saying earlier, it's from the Sega CD, and it's just from a different generation. And if you're not a big fan of, say, 16-bit style RPGs, then maybe those aren't for you. Yeah. Like a lot of, I mean, I don't know how you feel about the Ys series. I mean, I played a lot of Ys games, and there weren't any Ys games on the PlayStation, but the PS1. I mean, there's Ys games on it on the PlayStation now, but I'm just trying to say that if you're not a fan of those type of 16-bit RPGs, I understand.
Yeah, I just couldn't really get into them. I mean, like, I tried. I really tried because I just couldn't really get into them is the thing for me. But, like, I mean, same with Arc the Lad. Didn't really care for Arc the Lad that much either. I mean, like, I know those games are rare, but, like, I do have other working design games that I do enjoy, like Silhouette Mirage, Elemental Gearbolt, and Ray Storm, Ray Crisis, Thunder Force.
Oh,
5.
Elemental Gearbolt, yeah, that was a great game.
Vanguard Bandits, I didn't like Vanguard Bandits because that was strategy, so I did not like Vanguard Bandits. But like I did own Alundra, but it was too much like Zelda, and I'm not a big Zelda fan, so I didn't really want that game in my collection anymore because
Alundra was was an action RPG, so it wasn't like it was different. It wasn't a strategy RPG by any means. It was definitely, there was a lot of jumping stuff in Alundra and a lot of moving blocks, and so I hear you. I know what you mean.
Yeah, because those games are rare and stuff like that, and they're good to have in your collection, definitely. But just that, yeah. But like towards the week that you're going to talk about some of the rarest games on the PS1, like their version of Diablo, the Misadventures of Tron Bone, which is just I don't really like the game much.
I thought it was pronounced Tronbon,
Whatever.
not Tronbone.
Well,
Yeah, I think it's Bon.
oh, it's Tron Bone. Okay, Tron. I always heard Tron Bone, but yeah, like we'll say Tron Bone. And I just didn't really care for that. I just didn't really get it. I mean, I know a buddy of mine had the game and he sold it to the local disc store, to Disc Replay, and he got quite a bit of money for it because the game was so expensive. So like it was just, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, like it was so
Cool.
yeah, cause like, but of course, like getting Diablo, like it was good to play, fun to play the PS1 version of Diablo. The PS1 version of Diablo was definitely a lot of fun, and like
Did you? So what did you think of as opposed to the DOS or Windows Diablo? How did you feel the PlayStation 1 Diablo port stacked up?
Well, it was a little clunky, but just that it was still playable. I mean, I didn't have me wrong. It was still playable. Definitely, there wasn't anything wrong with it.
I was always really surprised. I think that the DOS/Windows version is better, but I think it was a decent port. I think they did a pretty good job with it. Unlike Craft 64, which was another Blizzard game, which was a terrible port. Oh my god! And I was, like I was saying before, a huge StarCraft fan. Still to this day, I'm a huge StarCraft fan. I love StarCraft 1 and 2. I still watch StarCraft esports. But man, that was Diablo on the PS1. They did an okay job. A little clunky. Still prefer the PC version, but not a bad job. And of course, unfortunately, the expansion on the PlayStation 1 port, but it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely, because like I remember playing it was a little slow start, but yeah. But of course, that's how we got Tomb Raider as well. Like I know it started off was mainly a Sega Saturn game, but Tomb Raider, yeah, just like I just said, was pretty much a female.
Tomb Raider with the protagonist that had pointy boobs.
And was one of the first main female protagonists ever in a video game and stuff like that. She was like the female Indiana Jones, called her. And those games are hard, but still they are fun. I mean, I like them. They're hard, but they are still fun. They're fun.
Well,
sure.
there were adventure games like from Sierra Online from the 80s and the early 90s that had female protagonists in. But yes,
3D wise.
As far as right, I was gonna say as far as an adventure game in the ilk of Tomb Raider, absolutely, Lara Croft was one of the first and still one of the greats.
Yeah, because trying to think what to say. Like a lot of people like Tomb Raider 2 the best at that, which. I'm Tomb Raider 2 is a great game, but it's hard to say what's the best Tomb Raider game out there because there are a lot of good Tomb Raider games out there, so it's hard to say which one's the best.
Hey, question, and you had mentioned how Tomb Raider also originally came out on the Saturn. Did Tomb Raider 2 also come out on the Saturn, or was it only the first one?
Only
I'm
the
trying
first
to
one.
remember. It was only the first one.
Yeah.
That is what I thought. Right.
The second one came out on the PC and stuff like that, but like...
Yes. Remember the triangle... I don't know if you remember this, but IDOS had triangular... Can't speak again. The PC boxes for IDOS games were triangles.
No, I don't know that because I sworn that the boxes for Tomb Raider Gold was square. But I was very young, so I don't really remember. But there was Tomb Raider Gold, which was pretty much like an expansion, but there was some expansion in it. But yeah, because I remember like first seeing that game at my cousin's house and thought it was cool. And then we got it for our PlayStation 1. It was pretty cool going to the Great Wall of China, Venice, and to try to figure out like the wreck of Maria Daria being underwater, and then like going to the snowy mountains like that, which was pretty cool there. I was surprised the Himalayas, Lara Croft did not freeze to death, which only where
if you go to Google and type Tomb Raider triangle.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you.
You'll see that the box. Well, it wasn't a complete triangle, but
I get what you mean.
Because the top of it was kind of flat, but it was
That's
a triangular
shaped
box.
That's what it was. Yes, yeah. Yeah, like I remember also. What I also remember is that like like I was talking about when it comes to games, there's also Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor was like started the World War II for sure. If it weren't for that, a lot of people say Call of Duty started, but Medal of Honor is what started. If it weren't for Medal of Honor, we wouldn't have games like Call of Duty. And like that was very cool to play Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor was definitely awesome.
Yeah, Medal of Honor was definitely, I mean, before Call of Duty. So
yeah, I know. Like it was pretty much people called it the PS1 GoldenEye because a lot of people didn't realize the first-person shooters on the PlayStation for some odd reason, but they had a lot of good ones like Codename Tenka, aka Life Force Tenka in Europe. That was a great game. Right there, and like of course had the PS1 version of 007, The World Is Not Enough. That was awesome. It was kind of like Medal of Honor, but with James Bond. And of course, there was they had the version of Doom. They had the game called Disruptor, which was kind of like which is kind of like its own version of Doom, which was awesome there. And of course, it had Quake 2 and stuff because they had a lot of first-person shooters. Like it just had, I think I'll say that like GoldenEye perfected the first-person shooter genre. I understand that, but didn't mean the PS1 did not have any bad ones. I mean, didn't have any bad ones right at that. It just that. I mean, I actually feel like, but just that you don't have to like shun it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You don't have to shun it.
yeah, and some other mech games I remember on the PS1.
Armored Core.
Armored Core, Gundam Battle Assault. I don't know if you had played Gundam Battle Assault.
I've only played one Gundam game now and then, and that was Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire. But like there was one mech game that I did not like at all. It was Carnage Heart. You ever heard of Carnage Heart?
I haven't played Carnage Heart, no.
You ever heard of it?
I have heard of it. I have not seen much gameplay of it though.
Oh,
I have never personally played it.
You want to
I feel so left out.
Don't feel left out. I mean, like you're doing a good job. Don't feel left out, Sadet. You're doing a good job. But like,
I mean, I feel left out in the conversation because I don't really know many other PS1 games.
Don't worry.
Aside the ones I mentioned, and a little bit of Digimon World 3.
Don't worry about it.
How about the Star Wars games on the N64?
Wait! I wasn't finished talking about Carnage Heart. Hold that thought for a second.
Go ahead.
Like the reason why I didn't like Carnage Heart. The reason why I didn't like Carnage Heart was it's not a mech combat game. It's a strategy game where you control where the mech moves, like strategy-wise. It was so complicated. It came with a CD, like a CD with instructions to show you how to play the game, and it's still confusing. And it fooled me big time. I thought it was gonna be awesome, and I played. I was like, what is this? This isn't anything like how I thought it was gonna be. I mean, why did it look like a mech comic game? It's really a freaking strategy game. Like, the hell? Like, that's like never, ever just look. You gotta look at the genre too.
That's true.
Yeah. You were about to say something?
No, I was only just thinking about some other games on the N64.
You were talking about James Bond or something. You said you were asking about James Bond. Yeah.
I was asking about Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars.
I didn't know if Sadet was
I am not a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
I imagine you didn't get to play Star Wars games on the N64.
I have no interest in Star Wars whatsoever.
That's fine. I mean, Star Wars isn't very one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I played quite a few. Go ahead.
I have heard that quite a few of the Star Wars games were pretty good.
Yeah. Like, there are quite a few good Star Wars in the PS1. Like, I have 4 of them. Master of Terrace Kasi, Dark Forces, Star Wars Demolition, and Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, The Hidden Empire. Now,
Jedi Power Battles.
I don't have any of the prequels. I'm about the ones in the original trilogy. So I don't care for the prequels. Yeah, because, like, I like... Master of Terrace Kasi was a Star Wars fighting game. And, yes, that was a Star Wars fighting game. And a lot of people hate it. That was the first 3D Star Wars game I ever played for the PlayStation. It was awesome. I mean, I know I can say people didn't like it, but, you know, it's not that bad of a game. I've played worse games than that. It's not that bad. I mean, yeah, it's hard to pull special moves, but it doesn't mean you can't have fun with the game. I mean, I have fun playing as Han, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, all the characters like that, and Arden Lin, who I consider the main protagonist. But yeah, like that game was fun. I mean, Dark Forces, yeah, if it weren't for that, we wouldn't have known about Kyle Katarn, and Demolition was just pretty much the Twisted Metal, and like a vehicle combat Star Wars game. Yeah, I'll take that any day. And like, of course,
Do you
go ahead.
do you think and talking about Twisted Metal and how fun those games were back on the PS1, and do you think that we make a Twisted Metal game in today's era
They
and have
tried-
it be successful?
They tried that with Twisted Metal 2012, and you know that game was not very good.
Well, right. I know they didn't evolve. I mean, here in 2021, going into the new generation of systems, I mean, it would have to almost be like like an indie game.
That's
Probably not even a game that they could charge full price for, right?
That's a tough
Because-
one.
Insert has been hotels. Alistair saying, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Because,
Maybe.
yeah, like there was also another vehicular combat game on there called Vigilante 8, which I reviewed around
Right,
yeah,
right. I remember Vigilante 8, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun there too. It was in the 70s, and of course, Cool Borders. Yes, there was also Cool Borders, and
Yep.
yeah.
How about this question? How about this question? What other RPGs were there on the Nintendo 64? I know I mentioned Quest.
That's a tough one there.
What other RPGs were there on the N64? So do you remember playing any other RPGs?
The only
Oh, you-
games I remember playing on the N64 was Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Stadium 2, I've rented Pokemon Puzzle League a lot. My mom would rent The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Yes, Corey, I finally said it correctly.
Yeah, we kind of talked about Zelda though a lot in this though. We don't want to go back.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just pretty much poking fun at the fact that Corey pokes fun when I mispronounce names.
Yeah, I know. But like yeah, trying to think here. But like a
Super Mario 64 whenever I went to the dentist because
They had that
the
then.
dentist had an N64.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, because like yeah, but like there's also like a couple of games I didn't mention like Heartless and
Those are the only games I can remember playing
that's understandable. I mean,
and watching and seeing and knowing of.
That's understandable. That's understandable, definitely. For me, of course, there's lost out. But of course, like back like with Star Wars, there was also Star Wars Rebels All 2: The Hidden Empire, which is like an FMV flight combat game. Kind of like Rogue Squadron, stuff like that, but of course also Colony Wars, the ultimate space combat game was Colony Wars there, definitely an awesome game there, definitely, and of course the Duke Nukem games has some pretty good Duke Nukem games, aside from the not very good port of Duke Nukem 3D title, Duke Nukem Total Meltdown, but that's okay with me, and of course it also had, of course Quake 2 was also on there, which was also fun, Quake 2, it's just a
Quake 2 was on there.
What?
Quake 2 was also on the N64, I believe.
Quake 64, it's also a game called Forsaken, which is also Forsaken 64. Yep. And of course, it had the Mega Man Legend games, and my favorite 2D, Mega Man 8 Anniversary Edition. That was definitely my favorite Mega Man game. Definitely, a lot of people don't like that game, but I don't think it's that bad. Mega Man 8's awesome. I don't care what people say. Mega Man 8's awesome.
I actually have to agree with you. I've played it, and it was a lot of fun for me.
Thank you. Someone finally agrees with me. Yay.
Wait, but what crowd is saying that Mega Man 8 is not a good game?
I have a group of friends who don't like it and stuff like that for reasons X, Y, and Z.
I've actually enjoyed every Mega Man game I've played.
Well,
yeah.
When it comes to the best Mega Man game ever made, Mega Man Legends 2 is probably the best Mega Man game ever made, hands down. I'm sorry, but that's just
For
me, though.
me, the best Mega Man game is Mega Man 04.
I only cared for the main ones. I didn't care for the spin-offs like the X series or Battle Edge, Battle Network, all that stuff.
They're not spin-offs. They are sequels.
Well, still, just me though. Did anyone got anything else to say about the N64 and the PlayStation at all? Right
Oh,
after?
no, I think we've talked about a ton of different games. I don't know if anyone has any closing comments. I guess Michael's
I
comment
have a
would be-
closing comment.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'll give mine quick, and then we can go into yours, and then we'll close up. My closing
Okay.
comment simply is, I definitely I did have an N64. I played a few things on it, like Doom 64, like GoldenEye, but I was really more of an RPG guy, more of a tactics guy, and because of that, a lot of the games in that era of my life I played on the PS1, and because it had the bulk of the, maybe even further than that, it had all of the RPGs and most of the tactics games, and that's kind of where I was at that time in my gaming life.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like my closing thing about those two systems. I mean, they're both great systems. I love them both. I know that the graphics were a little better on the 64, but it just didn't have the kind of library that I was looking for. Even though I did enjoy its platformers and its Zelda games and so forth, but it didn't have the SquareSoft games. It didn't have the Tomb Raider games. So I was more of a PlayStation guy, but I fully respect Nintendo and what they did with the system, and that is my closing argument.
Yeah. Let me do my closing here because I'm like, it's not my channel, but like I don't have much to say. Just like that, both systems had their goods and bads and that. I mean, I'm more of a PlayStation person like that. I mean, PlayStation had better games, but N64 still had Jet Force Gemini, Perfect Dark, and GoldenEye and all that stuff. So yeah, it still holds a special place there for sure. And whatever console you guys feel like getting, if you want to get them, just pick either up. If you're a Nintendo person, get the Nintendo 64. Sure, and didn't mention this that the control will be a little bit awkward, but still, it's not that hard to figure out. And yeah, just good memories of playing both consoles for sure. And I know Sadet was gonna go next, but Sadet, you can go next.
All I'm just going to say here is that as long as you don't play Xbox systems, the the Nintendo, and the PCs all got great games. Doesn't really matter which one you go for, as long as it's not Xbox.
Yeah, because like for next episode, be a little spoiler, we're gonna talk about the next gen console at the time, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Nintendo GameCube, because I owned all of them, and we're gonna definitely talk about them.
I actually owned the PlayStation 2 and GameCube, but never the Xbox. I did briefly play the Xbox when, like I knew someone who had an Xbox, but never really got into it myself.
But yeah, like, that's pretty much all we gotta say there, but, stay tuned for the next episode. We're gonna talk about some more consoles, so be on the lookout for that. Pretty much all we gotta say. My reviews will be up, reviews will continue, so be on the lookout for that. And pretty much all I can say is this is Tony, and everyone else, peace out, have a great day. Take care, everybody.